What is up? You ever wonder like what kind of people you have in your life? I had my daughter asked me the other day if she thought she was annoying, and then a couple days later, one of my best friends gave me his wedding ring from a failed marriage, and I was like, wow, I got some interesting people in my life, and I'm gonna talk about the people I have in my life and the people I keep out of my life. So, with that being said, let's get to it. Recording.
Hello. Welcome to the whatever.
The Ride or Die podcast.
Yeah.
Say it.
The Ride or Die podcast.
We are recording. What's up? So, I've not done this in a minute. I've had some injuries. I was spending some time with my family, and I had some extra time with my daughter, and I'm giving excuses. I wanted to say that because I am literally giving excuses why I'm not putting more content out, which is all right. So, what am I doing with this one? In the intro, I'm talking about friendship and all this, and the people you bring into your life, and the people you probably should not have in your life. But I just did this jiu-jitsu seminar at my gym, the Academy of Combat Arts here in Fargo, and the guy he's world renowned. He's done competitions all over the world, and someone asked him like, "Hey, how do you get so good?" And he goes, he talked about mindset and stuff like this, but he goes, just doing it, right? Practice, putting yourself out there, just do it. And I was like, just listening to him, I was like, well, I got to put a podcast out today. And I've been giving myself reasons not to do it. Like, I'll do it tomorrow, or I need to get more stuff on my computer so I have content to look at, but that's not what I'm here for. I just got to do it. So here it is. I'm just doing it. I got to give 3 shout outs before I'm going to get to this. One with Dave Cast. He actually, one of his things he said on one of his last podcasts really makes perfect for this podcast I'm doing about the people you have in your life, your friends, or however you want to say it, is support the ones that support you. So I appreciate him. He shouts me out on his podcast all the time. I know he just took a trip to Puerto Rico, I think, and he has a podcast about that. But yeah, man, go check his podcast out. It's the Dave Cast. I haven't seen it on YouTube, but I know he does some other crazy stuff. Go listen to him. He likes to bicker and backer about stuff. And on my last, was it my last podcast? Well, my podcast about me taking a trip down to Phoenix, Arizona. I got a little bit of hell from some people that are in Arizona, which is cool that people from Arizona are listening to my podcast. Hey, what's up, boys? But they gave me hell because I said Phoenix does not have good beer, which I should have said. I misspoke. I apologize. I should have said I didn't find a beer that I liked, because I went to the bar. I'm like, hey man, I talked to the bartender. I was like, I tried what he liked, and it just didn't pan out for me. Odds are there's a lot of beers and everything good in Phoenix. I just didn't find one I like. So I do apologize. Thank you for those guys that shouted me out. I know one of them actually did a little intro and put it on his Instagram. It is called One Shot Booking. That's their Instagram name. And I thought that was pretty dope. He put a little segment in, a little video clip. So I do thank you. He asked me if I ever come down to Phoenix, if I would ever want to do a podcast with him or whatnot. I was like, hell yeah, I would love to. I'd actually just like to go down to Phoenix and train some jiu-jitsu anyways. I didn't get a chance when I was down there. But yeah, I do. There's another guy that gave me a little bit of hell, like, whoa. Like, it was a YouTube comment, and it just made me laugh. So I do thank those guys for reaching out and putting me in line. I do appreciate it. I do like to be critiqued. And speaking of being critiqued, I went out to eat the other day with my friend Ben and Katie. They're both students at the Academy of Combat Arts in Fargo. They do jiu-jitsu. Ben is one of my best friends, I would honestly say, with that came from that gym. And Katie, we went out to eat, and Katie said, "Hey, I listened to your podcast." I'm like, "Sweet. No, what do you think?" And she goes, "Your intro." And I'm like, "What do you mean your intro?" "My intro. I like my intro." And she goes, you need to change it." And I was like, I looked at it, I was like, "I ain't changing it. I ain't doing that. I like my intro. It has my daughter in it. I got some compliments on it." But then I literally thought today, it's like, well, like I could change it, right? It's very put together poorly, I'll say. I just literally probably took 5 minutes and I put my intro together. So Katie, I promise you, I will change my intro music, but not right now. I'll do a little learning and figuring it out about how to do it a little bit better. So it will happen, just not right now. But thank you. I do appreciate your input. I appreciate everybody's input, good, bad, or whatever. But Ben and Katie I really like our relationship, because every time I come home, Ben and me and Ben have this agreement that we would go out for a beer and a burger, because he doesn't like beer. He likes sweet things. And I was like, "Dude, you're a guy. You got to at least have a beer every once in a while." And he goes, "Yeah, well, he likes his Mike's Hard Lemonades," and which is totally fine, but it just makes me laugh. So he agreed to me that once a month that he will we got a place called JL Beers, and we'll have a beer together. And he'll try a new beer. He'll just get a pint and whatever, and we'll get a burger, and we sit and shoot the shit. And usually it's a double date between him and Katie and my girlfriend Jessie and I. And it's always a blast. It's always a blast, and I enjoy them. But Ben sticks out to in my life for one really important time in my life. I was at one of the lowest points in my life, and I've never been that low. Like, it's not that dramatic, but so I'm a single parent. Me and my baby's mama did not work out, which it happens. And she wanted to move out of state. And of course, I did not want her to move out of state, because if she lived in the same town as me, I would get my daughter every 2 weeks. And if she moved out of state, I would get her 1 week in a month. So it's a pretty drastic change from having her 14 days to having her 2.5 days a month. And I lost. So now I see my daughter every 1 week in a month, unless it's the summertime, and then I'll have her for 2 weeks in the summertime. But that's here or there. But I remember it was the last time I had my daughter at the gym for my 2-week period, and then my daughter was going to move. And it was really rough. I was so emotional, and I was with a lot of good people. And I remember I was sitting there and I was standing and everybody's leaving. I was like, well, this sucks. And I started to cry. And Ben looked at me and he didn't say anything. He just grabbed me and he gave me a hug. He held me. I cried, and it's something I really needed at the time. And I can't thank that guy enough for giving me a hug at that point where I needed it. I just needed a hug. And I'm not a very emotional person. I very much keep my emotions intact, and when I need to let my emotions out, I'm gonna be by myself and whatever. But at that point, I couldn't. It was very emotional, and I told myself, if I ever get the opportunity to be that emotional support for somebody, I'm gonna do it. But that's not that easy, right? You got to be at the right place, the right time, be with the right friends. And I never thought it would ever happen. Like, I hang out with a bunch of guys, right? I shouldn't say I don't hang out with that many people actually at all. But a couple years ago, the opportunity happened, and I shouldn't say it's an opportunity in a sense that, like, it just sounds weird if I say it like that. But I had a friend that was in need. His little brother died, and I knew the family. I know the family very well, and he was in and out, and every time something was going on, I'd always invite him. But when people are down like that, they tend to shelter and go to their room, and they don't want to do anything, right? Or they attract the right people that won't bring that up and try to make a false hope that everything's all right. But I remember every time like there'd be UFC fights or we're going out, I'd always invite him. And I remember one time we were sitting there and I looked at him and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go." I'm like, "Hey man, are you all right?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm all right." And he kind of started tearing up. I'm like, "Hey man, do you need a hug?" And he looked at me. He's like, "No." And he looked at me and goes, "Yeah, dude, I need a hug." And I held him. And I probably held him only like 5 minutes, but it felt like 10 minutes. And I held him and I squeezed him as hard as I could. And I told him everything's going to be right. Like, he's one of my best friends. He's someone that's been in my life for a long time. And I will always be there for him. And I would never did that. I would never put myself in that position if my friend Ben didn't do it for me. So it's like, thank you, Ben. Thank you for showing me ways I can help by just being a good person and being a good friend by offering a hug. Like, I would have never thought in a million years, like, guys do that. But, bravo, Ben. I love you for a reason, dude. You're a good dude, and I appreciate everything you do for me. So that was a really cool opportunity because I learned from Ben, and then I actually got to pass it on. And if I ever see a friend in need, I'm gonna do the same thing. And that's the people I want in my life. I want the people that are gonna do that kind of thing for me. So it's very interesting. So I'm actually kind of getting a little bit emotional. Like, it's such a good memory. Oh my God. It's all right. He's just a good dude, and I appreciate him so much. So that's Katie and Ben. Those are two wonderful people I have in my life, and they push me and they critique me and they tell me what's up, and that's what I need. I also got this other friend, Wagon, and he's been in my life for quite a long time, and like, I used to, when I was in high school, I used to go to his house. He has a very interesting life. I think at like 16 or 17, he lived in his own house. Like, he didn't have parents. He lived in a small town and had a house. And he used to not like me. Actually, some of my best friends that I have right now used to not like me when they first met me. So, go figure. But yeah, I used to go to his house and party. I never drank, so I just go to his house, talk to a bunch of dudes, flirt with some girls, and then I'd leave. And he used to just not like me for that. Like, who's this pretty boy coming to my house and just not drinking, just being all above everybody else? But he ended up, we ended up just hanging out a lot, and he became one of my best friends. Actually, when I got my motorcycle accident a couple years ago in Sturgis, he's the one I ran into. And we got that. And so the other day, he called me. He's like, "Hey man, are you gonna be at the bar later?" And I was like, yeah, I can be at the bar later. He's like, "I got something for you." And I'm like, "What?" "Okay, well, let's see what this is." So I go to the bar. He comes in. He's a goofy looking dude. And I shouldn't say goofy looking. He's a goofy dude. And he kind of gives me that look, and he shows me something, and I'm like, "What is it?" And he's like, "It's a ring." So he gives me this ring. I'm like, "Oh man," it's like, okay, it's a ring. And I have it on right now. I don't know if you guys can see that bling. Well, it's his wedding ring from his first marriage. He ended up getting a divorce, and he found his wedding ring, and he's like, "Yeah, I found my wedding ring." And the first thing I thought, it's like, dude, I'm gonna give this ring to Matthew. So one of my best friends gave me his wedding ring. Now, some people find that weird. I don't find that weird. I find this awesome because I literally wear my homie's wedding ring, and I don't mind it. It's a cool little story. And I remember my girlfriend's like, "Make sure you don't put that on your ring finger." It's like, it's not going on there. Like, when me and you get married, that's just for me and you. So that's kind of friends I have in my life. I got friends that are they're fun, they're random, and they tell me how it is. And my girlfriend is kind of the exact opposite of me. She is more on the quiet side, and I'm more on the loud, obnoxious side. And it's interesting. I used to kind of get on her case about the people she used to hang out with, because when she hangs out with her friends, all they do is go drink. And I was like, at her age, there's nothing wrong, but that's all they do is go drink. So I was getting on her case, like, hey, don't just go out and party. Go, if you got friends, go out and do stuff, like go hiking or whatever. It doesn't always have to be with alcohol. But she's young. She's 22 years old, and that's kind of like the early 20s lifestyle. But that's not my lifestyle, so I gotta give it a little bit of help because it does nothing good. I always say nothing good happens after bar close, or nothing really good happens after midnight. Really, to be honest, if you're out downtown, because nothing really does happen. That's good. But I told her that she needs to find a little bit more friends that have a little bit better habits. Not saying her friends have bad habits, but she only usually just goes drinks with them. Every once in a while, like yoga, which is all right. But I was, say, hey, let's branch out. Let's go meet some new people. And she looked at me. She goes, well, Matthew, not everybody can make friends like you. She don't sound like that. She actually has a voice of an angel. So I'm just saying, don't want to get in trouble. Voice of an angel, Jesse, she says, Matthew, not everybody can make friends like you. I'm like, Jesse, I don't have that many friends. It's not like I walk into a room and everybody's like, Matthew. No, man, I walk into jiu-jitsu and every once in a while someone says hi. It's like no one really talks to me, and that's fine. I don't need people. I don't go to jiu-jitsu because I want people to acknowledge me. I don't go on the motorcycle because I want people to acknowledge me. I just do stuff that I enjoy, and if people want to talk to me, that's cool. If people don't want to talk to me, that's fine. If people are just not partial and don't care, even better. Like I do things because I want to do them because they make me a better person, I think. But I will say the things I do have brought me some of the greatest people of my life. So my lifestyle has brought my girlfriend in my life. My lifestyle has brought my friend Ben and Katie into my life. My lifestyle has brought me my friend Wagon in my life. Now, all these people perfect? No. Am I perfect? Hell no. But we all have good intentions. And that's the people I bring in my life. People that have good intentions and people that try to better themselves. Like my buddy Wagon. He's very smart and he's very knowledgeable. I always think he's like an old man. You ever got that old dude that just knows everything? Like you say something and he just knows everything about it because he's been around the block. And that's my buddy Wagon. It feels like he knows everything. And I love that about him. He just every time I something, he has a story. He's like literally an old timer that knows everything and has stories about everything. He's like he probably could have been he's probably been reincarnated a couple times. I swear. He has knowledge about everything. So, but yeah. But I'm gonna get to talking about my daughter, and this is kind of like why I started this conversation about friendship. Because the other day, my daughter, she looked at me and she was running around. Like I said, I had her for a couple extra days. I had her for like 4 days over Easter vacation. And she was running around doing some kid stuff. She's 10 years old. So she's like, just running around, and which is cool, let her be her kid. But she looked at me, she stopped, and she looked at me, she goes, Dad, do you think I'm annoying? And I look at her like, who cares? And she kind of like looked at me like, what do you mean, who cares? Like, I asked you a question, like, do you think I'm annoying? And I'm like, who cares? And she kind of looked at me again. And I was like, well, really, who cares if you're annoying? If you're going to be you, be you. People are going to find you annoying or people are going to find you fun. You have an outgoing personality, kind of like me. And her mom has a very outgoing personality too. So people are going to find either like you or dislike you. There's really no in between. If anything, that people like you enough not to dislike you, right? So people either like you or people dislike you. And like, I was trying to talk to you. I was talking to a 10-year-old. So even though I think children don't get enough credit. I think they're very, very smart. I think all children are smart. I think us as adults don't look at them like they're smart. Or I shouldn't say smart, or they're comprehending everything. But I swear, excuse me, I just burped. Just burped again. I just think my daughter, I think all children, not just my daughter, they get it. And I told my daughter, I'm like, who cares? I'm like, as long as you be you, And you put good into the world will give you good back. So that being said, I told her, if you put the right things in the world, the right people are going to attract to you. It's like a magnet, right? You just pulsate just good, happy, fun thoughts, fun vibes, smile all the time, just try to do good. Most likely, 99% of the time, you're going to have the same kind of people attract to you. And I think that's true, right? You put good into the world will give you good back. Now, not saying that it's your bad things won't happen, because honestly, I love when I have a bad day. What? Like, yeah, I just said it. I enjoy having a bad day. At the time, I don't enjoy it. No. But I do know when bad things happen, the good things in my life mean a lot more to me. So, bad days are good. I can't have, let's say, I'll use that aspect of me and my daughter. So I get my daughter 1 week in a month, and it's very hard. So I'm less than a part-time parent. Like, I'm not a parent all the time. So it's very difficult for me. I have to pick and choose my battles of discipline and fun. So I know if right off the bat she's a little crap turd and she doesn't listen, I have to discipline her. Now, how do I discipline a child when I know I only have such short time with her? So I actually started talking to her and like, hey, I have to come up here. I have to drive all these hours just to see you. And I love doing it, but it is not fair to me that you act like this and you don't want to clean your room and you don't want to do this. And my daughter gets it, even though she's a little turd sometimes, because all children are, I'm a little turd sometimes. Actually, I can be a pretty big turd. My girlfriend calls me a shitty bird all the time, but it's very difficult. And I kind of going on a little tangent here about where I'm going with this. Where we were going, let's see here. Let's go back in my notes. So I have no idea where I was at, but let's go on. I was talking about my daughter, and I just put good into the world, right? That's what I was getting at. Put good into the world. And that's why I want her to do things like activities. And I know, like, I like to put things on social media, like these podcasts and YouTube and whatnot. Just I'm trying to put good into the world so my daughter sees me put good into the world. I try not to swear on my podcast. I do jiu-jitsu. I try to help out, but there's also over helping out. Like, sometimes I feel like I jump into something that I put my 2 cents into something that doesn't need my 2 cents. You know, people get like that. I just want to help. And I feel like my daughter's the same way. So I want to show her some avenues how she can do this. And hopefully I'm doing a good job. I think I am. We'll see. But she's just, I learn a lot through her watching me, because I want to do good. I want her to see me do good. I want her to see the people I bring into my life, because it's so easy, because she's going to grow up and think clothes matter, and she's going to grow up to think how she talks matters. And I want her to grow up not caring what other people think. If I get anything out of her, I want her to grow up not caring. I don't want her to want a boyfriend and do whatever her boyfriend wants because she wants acknowledgement from a guy. I'm like, no, I want her to be her, and I want her to do things because she wants to do it. I don't want her to feel judged. I don't want her to worry about what other people think. So that's why I try to keep the best people in my life around so she sees it. But yeah, speaking of that, I think that's all I really got for this podcast. Is me saying those words again. But I'm actually gonna try some new stuff. I'm really trying to get back into being artsy. I know I just redid this wall. If you're on YouTube, I got these skateboard decks that me and my daughter made. I know my girlfriend, she has one. 1 second. Hold that thought. She did this one, and she used to sell these on Etsy. What is that? What is that app called? Etsy. And I actually started a page too. see if we can sell these kind of skateboards. It's about just, who cares? If I sell one, I'm going to be happy. But she sold a couple of these. I think these are super dope. She takes the time and she follows the curvature of the word and whatnot. But yeah, that's if you like something like that, I'll link her Etsy page into one of my Instagram pictures. Yeah, she does a cool job. So her doing that, I was like, well, you know what? I'll try that too. So I do these skateboards, and I basically find photos of comic books, and I make sure they're black and white, and I slap them on. And I was trying another one. It didn't turn out. I was trying to use resin, and it didn't pan out. What I'm really trying to get out of this whole spiel right now, do stuff. Don't sit around. Try stuff. That's the cool thing about art. When it comes to art, the coolest people in my life are artsy. And like people with tattoos, people with like that, like the sew and stuff. And I know one of these guys I train with, Dylan, he wants to be like a surgeon and all this stuff. And his jiu-jitsu, he compares it to be very, very surgeonly. He goes like, it's not very artistic. And I'm like, man, being a surgeon is pretty much a work of art, right? Because you're literally going into someone's body and doing a bunch of crazy stuff, and something that I couldn't do. And he has to have the imagination and know how to do it. And I think that's being a surgeon being a doctor is an art form in itself, right? Or maybe I'm reaching a little bit too much. So I don't know. I think art's cool. That's why I probably like jiu-jitsu, because some of the things people do, it just blows my little mind. But now I'm just kind of bantering. Remember, whatever you do, you train hard, do good, be kind. Peace, everybody. Love you.